How does a 19-year-old go from sitting on the bench at the biggest club in the world to completely taking over games in a matter of weeks? Just months ago, Endrick was watching from the sidelines at Real Madrid, struggling for minutes, confidence, and belief. Today, in Lyon, he looks fearless, relentless, and unstoppable. Goals are coming fast. Defenders can't slow him down. And suddenly, the same player once labeled "not ready" is becoming the center of an entire attack. This isn't just a hot streak. It's a warning, a story of pressure, silence, and a decision that may have saved a career before it was even allowed to begin. Endrick arrived in Europe carrying a weight few teenagers ever experience. Labeled a generational talent in Brazil, signed by Real Madrid as a future star, and surrounded by expectations that grow heavier with every match not played. But at the Bernabeu, reality hit hard. Minutes were rare, competition was brutal, and confidence slowly gave way to frustration. What looked like the perfect dream move began to feel like a dead end. Then came the loan to Lyon. On the surface, it felt like a step back, leaving the biggest club in the world for a rebuild project in France. In reality, it was a reset, a chance to play, to breathe, to matter again. And almost immediately, everything changed. Endrick didn't just get minutes, he got trust. If you enjoy stories that go deeper than headlines and explain what's really happening behind football's biggest moves, make sure to subscribe and let us know in the comments. Did Lyon just save Endrick's career? At Real Madrid, Endrick's struggle was quiet but brutal. Despite the headlines around his signing, opportunities never truly came. Across the season, he totaled just 99 minutes, often watching decisive matches from the bench while the spotlight stayed firmly on established stars. For a 19-year-old trying to adapt to European football, that absence of rhythm was damaging. Cameras occasionally caught the frustration, the distant stare, the emotion held back, even tears on the bench. Behind the scenes, confidence began to crack. Training sessions were sharp, the desire was there, but footballers need minutes, not promises. At Real Madrid, Endrick wasn't failing. He was fading slowly and silently, in a place where patience is a luxury few young players are ever given. The reality at Madrid became impossible to ignore. Endrick wasn't just fighting for minutes, he was competing against Kylian, Mbappe at the peak of his powers, and Vinicius Jr., already an undisputed star. In a club built to win immediately, there was no room for patience, no space for gradual growth. Every missed chance felt heavier, every game on the bench deeper than the last. The mental pressure mounted not from failure, but from invisibility. For a teenager whose game depends on rhythm, confidence, and instinct, staying meant stagnation. That was the breaking point. Leaving wasn't about giving up, it was about survival. And for Endrick, choosing minutes over status became the only way forward. When Lyon moved for Endrick, it wasn't blind optimism, it was calculated belief. This is a club with a deep history of developing elite strikers, most famously Karim Benzema, who once walked the same path from raw talent to world-class forward. Still, the move was met with skepticism. Fans questioned whether a teenager short on minutes could immediately handle the demands of Ligue 1. Other clubs hesitated, unsure if the risk was worth it. Lyon saw something different. They saw a player who didn't need protection, he needed responsibility. A fresh environment, fewer egos, and a system willing to revolve around his strengths. For Endrick, Lyon wasn't a downgrade, it was the perfect reset, at exactly the right moment. Under Paulo Fonseca, Endrick found something he never truly had in Madrid: trust. From the moment he arrived, he wasn't treated as a long-term project or a player to be protected. He was given responsibility, regular starts, freedom to move, and the confidence to make mistakes without fear. That continuity changed everything. With clear instructions and belief from the touchline, Endrick began playing on instinct again, pressing relentlessly, attacking space, and demanding the ball. In Lyon, he isn't waiting for permission to express himself. He's expected to lead, and for a player like Endrick, that freedom didn't just unlock his game, it restored his identity. Endrick wasted no time making his presence felt. In his debut, he scored the winning goal away from home, immediately silencing doubts. Days later, he delivered a decisive assist, showing he wasn't just there to finish moves, he was there to create them. Then came the moment that changed everything. A stunning hat-trick against Metz. 3 goals, different finishes, complete control. In just 3 matches, Endrick went from a promising loanee to the most talked-about player in Ligue 1. Defenders couldn't contain his movement, his intensity overwhelmed back lines, and the confidence that once seemed lost returned instantly. This wasn't adaptation, it was a statement. In 3 games, Endrick announced himself, loudly, to France and to Europe. At Olympique Lyonnais, Endrick is no longer just another attacking option. He is the reference point. Lyon's build-up increasingly flows through his movement, his positioning, and his instinct to attack space. He drifts, drops, spins, and presses, forcing defenders into constant adjustment. When he receives the ball, chaos follows. Quick dribbles, sudden accelerations, decisive finishes. The system bends around him because it has to. Endrick isn't waiting for perfect structure or scripted patterns. He creates advantage through movement and intent. In Lyon, he isn't fitting into the tactics. He is the tactic, and that centrality has transformed both his confidence and the team's attacking identity. The numbers make the contrast impossible to ignore. At Olympique Lyonnais, Endrick is averaging over 1 goal involvement per game, with a goals per 90 rate that more than doubles his output in Spain. In just 3 appearances, he has already delivered goals and assists that outweigh an entire season of limited chances. Compare that to his time at Real Madrid, where sporadic minutes and broken rhythm kept his influence hidden. The stats don't suggest improvement in talent, they expose opportunity. With continuity, Endrick's impact explodes. The data tells a simple truth. It was never about ability, it was about minutes. For Endrick, this loan is about more than club football. It's about a dream. With the World Cup approaching, Brazil's attacking options are stacked, and places are earned through form, not reputation. Carlo Ancelotti has made it clear that players need rhythm and impact to be considered, and Lyon is giving Endrick exactly that. Every goal, every decisive action in France strengthens his case for the Brazil national football team. Staying on the bench in Madrid would have slowly erased that possibility. In Lyon, the spotlight is back on him. This spell could be the difference between watching the World Cup on television or stepping onto the world's biggest stage wearing yellow. Back in Madrid, Endrick's explosion in France has created an uncomfortable question. Inside Real Madrid, executives are now revisiting the decisions that led to his limited role. The focus inevitably turns to Xabi Alonso and the choice to prioritize immediate results over gradual development. Was Endrick protected or wasted? The club insists the loan was always about growth, but his instant impact in Lyon suggests something deeper. Madrid now faces a dilemma they can't ignore. Double down on their belief in Endrick, reassess how they manage elite young talents, or risk watching a future star flourish elsewhere. Endrick now stands at a crossroads that will define the next phase of his career. Lyon wants more. Reports suggest the club is exploring ways to extend the loan, impressed not only by his numbers, but by how quickly he has become central to the team. Real Madrid, meanwhile, maintains that Endrick remains a key part of their long-term plans. But football decisions are rarely static. Every goal in France sends a message. Endrick is no longer asking for opportunities. He is creating leverage. Whether this ends in a return to Madrid, another loan, or a permanent move, one thing is clear. The balance of power is shifting, and Madrid can no longer afford to ignore it. Endrick's journey is a reminder that talent alone is never enough. Young players don't just need ability, they need trust, timing, and the courage to choose the right path. At Real Madrid, the stage was enormous, but the space to grow was small. In Lyon, the expectations are still high, but belief comes first. This chapter may end up defining not just his season, but his entire career trajectory. Sometimes, stepping away from the biggest spotlight is the only way to truly be seen. If you enjoyed this deep football story, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and don't stop here. The next video is already on your screen, and the story continues there.